good morning, good day, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your listening time. I want to thank you again. My name is Tony Reeves, and we are here on another edition of In the Know. I want to talk to you today about taking advantage of being in spaces where you can make a mistake. I recently had the opportunity to speak to a young college student who is an Army ROTC cadet at Florida A&M University, and one of the things he was talking to me about was the things he needed to do as he was preparing for his upcoming advanced camp. Advanced camp is the area where they send ROTC cadets in the Army for where they're evaluated on their leadership skills and assessed to determine whether or not they can go in active duty or the Reserve Officer Corps. So I told him something that I never thought about until after I said it to him that I wanted to share with you today. One of the things that I told him was make as many mistakes as possible while he is in his ROTC unit before he goes off to his training. And he looks at me and he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, the reality is that while you are in your school environment, in your school ROTC environment, you're going to be thrown the opportunities to take all these different leadership opportunities, whether they be in garrison, which means when you're really around at your home base, or if you're out in the fields, like some maneuvers. So I told him, I said, a lot of times what happens is that people are given the opportunity to volunteer and participate. And you know what ends up happening a lot of times? People don't take advantage of those opportunities. And you always see the same people who volunteer over and over again. And the reason why they volunteer over and over again is because they are trying to make as many mistakes as possible. You want to be able to make as many mistakes as possible when you are in an environment where the people who can educate you, guide you, nourish you, and direct you can help you correct those mistakes. I'm not saying that you shouldn't make those when you go to the place where you're being evaluated, but that's the last place you want to be to try to figure it out. You want to have explored every other opportunity of making mistakes in a place where there are people who can say, that's a good thing to do, but you should do this. Not necessarily a good thing to do, you should do that. And so I told him that no matter how annoying he presents himself, how many people think he's kissing butt or anything like that, anytime they're asking for volunteers, you volunteer. Make as many mistakes as possible, because what's going to happen is that when you go to advanced camp, they're going to put you in an environment where they are going to expose you to leadership opportunities when you are in the garrison, like I said, when you are basically in your home unit area. And then when you go out on maneuvers and you have small unit maneuvers or large unit maneuvers, they're going to put you in leadership positions there. Take advantage of this. While you are in your school environment with instructors and teachers and upperclassmen who can guide you, make as many mistakes as possible. Do everything that you can think of that's bonehead. Nothing wrong at all. Okay? Nothing wrong at all. Get them out. Do as many things as possible. Why am I stressing this? Because way too many times, we fall into this trap of telling ourselves, into believing, into believing in the grander scheme of things that we can't make a mistake. And then what ends up happening is those mistakes pop up in places where we're like, oh crap, where had we jumped out on a limb and done them earlier, we could have gotten them out of the way without having any issue. Let me say this as I stress this wholeheartedly, and this is not me trying to discourage you or anything like that. If you are in an environment where you have an infrastructure of people who will allow you the opportunity to make mistakes, and those mistakes are not held against you, or those are mistakes that you can recover from, make them. Because guess what? You don't know what you're capable of doing until you actually knock yourself out and try to do them. So I cannot stress this enough. Take the opportunity to make those mistakes, because I can tell you that when I first started practicing back in 2001, I remember I had an older attorney who had been practicing for almost 30 years, and he told me, he says, Anthony, you're going to learn more from the mistakes that you make actually doing the work, as opposed to reading a book and sitting behind closed doors and trying to figure it out. I'm saying this to say that you don't know what you're capable of until you go out to do it and make the mistakes and learn from doing it. Okay? There's a quote from the great Nelson Mandela that I often love. It says, I never lose. I either win or I learn. The only way you're going to learn is to make those mistakes. So I say that to express to you this. Take the opportunity to, hold yourself out, take a risk, make mistakes. And if you're in a place where you can make those mistakes and people can give you guidance, take advantage of that, because that is a rare, rare thing. Trust me, in the long run, you're going to really be happy that you took the risk to go out there and step out on a limb and do something and have people give you guidance to help you move accordingly. All right, everyone. Again, that's another edition of In the Know. Can't wait to see you again. Take care, stay safe, and as always, I have to ask you, are you ready for the Anthony Reeves experience?